What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, Under Center with Abelson, presented by the Real Spiel Podcast. We are here live on a Tuesday evening. You know what that means. That means we got playoff rankings to react to. We got the third edition of these college football playoff rankings. We're starting to get a little more answers on these things, man. We're starting to get a little more answers. The committee chair, he said a couple interesting things that I thought could really shape out and really change things in these rankings. So this is going to be a quick one. We're just going to be in and out, give you the rankings, tell you some things that stuck out, and tell you what I think is in play for the next couple weeks. So before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. As always, we are here a couple times a week talking all things college football. All right, let's run down this week's college football playoff rankings and what the committee decided. At number 1, we have Ohio State. Number 2, we have Indiana. Number 3, we have Texas A&M. Number 4, we got Georgia. Number 5, we got Texas Tech. Number 6, we have Ole Miss. Number 7, we have Oregon. Number 8, we have Oklahoma. Number 9, we have Notre Dame. 10, Alabama. 11, BYU. 12, Utah. 13, Miami. 14, we got Vanderbilt. SC at 15. We got Georgia Tech at 16. Texas drops down to 17. Michigan at 18. Virginia at 19. Tennessee at 20. Illinois at 21. Mizzou making its way back up to 22. We got Houston at 23. Tulane as the highest group of 5 team at 24. And then we got Arizona State creeping back into the top 25 at 25. A couple interesting things here, man. A couple interesting things. I think let's start with, I think this is the thing that's been the main driver of discussion all these playoff rankings so far is Notre Dame and Miami. We have another week where Miami's moved up, man. Miami is starting to creep up. After that first playoff ranking a couple weeks ago, it felt like the gap between Miami and Notre Dame was so big, it was going to be very hard for Miami to overcome. But over the last couple rankings, that gap is starting to close. I don't know if maybe the committee had Miami ranked a little too low after that first one, and now they're just trying to readjust itself or what. But Miami was at 18 after the first playoff ranking. So since in 2 weeks, Miami has moved up 5 spots. They moved up from 18 to 15, and then now they moved up from 15 to 13. In that same 2 weeks, Notre Dame hasn't moved. Notre Dame, I think, started at, did Notre Dame start at 10 or 11? I think Notre Dame started at 10. Either way, they moved up either 1 spot or 2 spots. When in that same amount of time, Miami has moved up 5 spots. And there was something interesting that the new chair of the committee said today. Because when he got asked about Miami and Notre Dame, he said as of right now, Miami and Notre Dame are not being compared in the same tiers. Because typically what the committee will do is they will rank they rank teams in groups. So like teams like 25 to like 20 is in a certain, like 20 to like probably like 30 is in one bubble, and then like teams like 20 to probably like 15 are in a bubble, then 15 to probably like 9, then 9 to whatever. So they rank teams in a group, and then based off of, you know, who they think is the best out of that group will be the highest ranked team in that tier, in that pod. So as of right now, the chair of the committee said Notre Dame and Miami are not being compared in the same tier, in the same pod. But he specifically said Miami is creeping up, and if Miami and Notre Dame are compared in that same tier, in that same grouping, then head-to-head will be a significant data point that they use. If you want to read between the lines, go ahead. But that basically tells you that if Miami keeps winning, because it doesn't seem like Notre Dame has a lot of room to jump unless just complete chaos happens ahead of them. Because, I mean, they beat a Pitt team and they only moved up 1 spot. You know, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of wiggle room to move. So if Miami keeps winning and Miami at Notre Dame at the end of the season are both 10-2 and being compared in the same tier, in the same group, The committee chair said head-to-head will be a significant data point that they use. So I agree with that. I think if Miami and Notre Dame end up with the same record, that you should value the head-to-head, and Miami should get the spot. Whether it's the spot over Notre Dame or whether they both get in, but I think if they're both 10-2 at the end of the season, there can't be any situation where Notre Dame is in, but Miami is left out. Because again, you can't. I just feel like you can't set that precedent to have head-to-head not matter. When resumes are comparable, when teams are compared against each other, head-to-head has to matter, because you're already seeing a lot of teams starting to cancel these, tough non-conference games. It's going to get to the point where if you reward teams for losing non-conference games, why are they going to schedule them? Why are they going to schedule them? And this is part of the inconsistency. The playoff committee hasn't been too inconsistent this year. They've been pretty consistent, but this is an inconsistency that I'm just not understanding so far, because you're valuing these non-conference games for teams who are scheduling these non-conference games. Ohio State, Texas, all these teams are scheduling these non-conference games, but Notre Dame scheduled a great non-conference game and won. Miami scheduled a great non-conference game and won, and as of right now, it feels like that has no value. But we'll let things play out. I don't try and get too worked up about, the committee's rankings, because they typically always plays out. It always plays out. If there's a gripe, it typically will work itself out. We typically see that. So I'm not too worried about that. Another thing that caught my eye is Oregon being at 7. So we saw Alabama drop from 4 to 10 with a close loss to Oklahoma. They lost at home to a team that was ranked lower than them in a close game. Alabama had the ball with less than a minute left, or with a couple minutes left, to drive down and try and kick a field goal. They lost by 2 points. Oregon is starting to go into that same boat. Oregon is at 7. They have a game at home against a team that's ranked lower than them. And Alabama dropped 6 spots. And this is an Alabama team who has the most AP ranked wins in the country, tied with Oklahoma. They have a great resume. You can't say the same about Oregon. So if Alabama dropped that far after a close ranked loss at home, what's going to happen to Oregon? What's going to happen to Oregon if they lose a close ranked game at home? Because right now they're at 7, and if Alabama dropped 6 spots, Oregon dropped 6 spots, they're going to be 13, and they're going to be out of this thing. They're going to be at 12-13. It's going to be, because I've been saying, I said last week that there's a chance that at 10-2, Oregon might not make the playoffs, which is wild to think. All these SEC teams who could go 10-2 have a chance. It would be crazy if a Big Ten team at 10-2 didn't make the playoffs, but if Oregon loses, they're at 7, man. They're at 7. If they drop, because that 10 is the cutoff line. The lowest at-large team has to be ranked at 10 at the final rankings. So if they lose to USC, it feels like they're going to, and if they lose to USC and Alabama and Notre Dame, BYU, Texas Tech, if they win, or not BYU and Utah, if they all win, it feels like that they could jump up and Oregon could jump down, because Oregon just does not have a great resume, man. They do not have a great resume. I know they beat Iowa, but that's their only great win. You can say what you want about the Penn State game. I'm not diminishing that game, but I'm not hyping that game up. So that's just what it is. But yeah, Oregon could be in a spot where if they lose, they're on the outside looking in at 10-2, because the last game of the year is against Washington, and Washington's a good team but not a great team. They're not ranked, so how much would that really boost their resume and get them back in? I don't know. So it really, really feels like a must-win for Oregon Saturday against USC. So that's going to be a crazy, crazy game, and I think it just got a little more hyped up. What's something else? Is there any other crazy rankings? Texas, I think, all the Texas being a 9-3 team in the playoffs. I think that's all gone because, I mean, stuck being there at 17. Even if they did beat Texas A&M, I mean, are they really jumping up ahead of, some of these other teams who could win out and win these good games? It feels like there's just going to be too many teams between like 9 and like 14, 15 that have a chance to make it. So I just don't think Texas could get back up there. I'm interested to see about Michigan, man, because Michigan right now they're at 18 and they are 10-2. Or no, right now they're 18 and they're 8-2. It's gonna be very like, say status quo. Say in 2 weeks, Michigan's done what they've done over the last 4 years and they beat Ohio State. I mean, how far up are they gonna jump, man? Because it feels like they would be in the playoffs. So like, would they jump from 18 to like 9? Like, that's something that's something that I'm going to be very, very interested to see. Obviously, that's a tall task. That's not no easy task, but they've beaten Ohio State 4 years in a row. They're at home. I'm not saying they don't have a chance. After last year winning as a 20.5-point underdog, I'm never going to say they don't have a chance. So that would be something interesting. Let's see. Tulane, the highest. I'm not like I hate that I'm not talking about the Group of Five enough, but the rankings really don't matter to me. I don't think the Group of Five ranking is as important because first of all, you have to be a conference champ, and with the way that American's going right now, like I have no idea who's going to win the conference championship. None. Like it's not even guaranteed Tulane will win it because that's the first thing. For the Group of Five has to be a conference champ. So it's a mess in that Group of Five. So I don't know who's going to do what. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oklahoma jumps up to 8 after beating Alabama. So that kind of helps the SEC with a chance of getting 5 teams into the college football playoffs. Yeah, Oklahoma at 8, man. I love to see it, man. People. I was almost there. People were starting to write them off. I was starting to, not be as high on them anymore. So they get a couple good wins in a row, back-to-back wins in the SEC on the road. That's tough, man. That's tough. So shout out to Oklahoma on that one. What else is there? One last thing that did catch my eye of what the chair of the committee said was he said that because there's been a lot of questions about conference championship losers. If BYU, if they make their conference championship, would they drop a spot? Texas A&M, if Alabama makes a conference championship and that would be their third loss, how far would they drop if they lost to Texas A&M? The chair did say that the conference champions and conference championship games will be viewed the same as it has been in the past. The data point for the conference championships will be viewed as the same as they have been in the past. So that kind of maybe tells me that they're going to go about the conference championship games as they kind of did last year, where loser doesn't get docked if it's a close game. They're only using it as a positive data point and not a negative data point, so it can only help your resume and can't hurt it. So that's going to be interesting because BYU, that's going to be the difference between likely the Big 12 getting 2 teams in and getting 1 team in, is how they view that conference championship loss if BYU were to lose to Texas Tech. And same with Alabama, because, are you going to really drop Alabama out of the playoff if they have their third loss, but that third loss came in the conference championship game? I don't know. So that's a very interesting viewpoint, and that's a very interesting thing that the chair of the committee said. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. But, yeah, that seems to be all we have. Just a quick episode, just reacting to the college football playoff rankings. I think we have 2 more. We got week 13 next week. We got rivalry weekend. Then we got conference championship weekend. And then, boom, the playoff field will be set. So we are getting down to it, man. We are getting down to it. So make sure if you made it this far to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to drop a subscribe so you can stay tuned to all the updated college football playoff rankings and everything else that we discuss on this channel. Thank you.